Welcome everyone to another video, and in this video we are going to be doing a Halloween themed video, and we're going to be doing a tier list video of all the available ghost Pokemon in Pokemon Go. And we're going to be basing off the list provided by PvPoke, and we're going to go from lowest overall PvPoke score to highest. And we're going to be, I'm sure you've seen these tier list videos before, but F rating is the worst, and S tier is the absolute highest. And these are the Omega OP Pokemon of the Ghost Pokemon will only deserve those rankings. And we're going to be basing it off of not only their usefulness and their overall PV poke score and other considerations in terms of the usefulness, but also their design. Like, how good do they look? How well designed? How nice are their shinies? Like, a number of different considerations. And I've been saying we because I have three guests with me, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. We'll start off with Taco.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Taco. 33433 is my in-game name. Everybody calls me Taco, though. I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area and a part of a lot of the San Francisco groups and the tournament organizers. We all work together out here, so we have some exciting stuff going on with that. So shout out to Nightwing as well, and just excited to give some input here on these ghosts.
All right, perfect. And then next up, we have Lee Wilson.
Hey guys, Lee Wilson 32 is my in-game name. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, PvP group around here, and I also am on Go Stadium as well as I help run a collaborative tournament around my area as well.
All right, perfect. And last but certainly not least, we have Matt.
Hey guys, Matt. My in-game name is MattSuar. I'm from Miami, Florida, and I come up with some of the spiciest picks for any cup that I do.
All right, perfect. So we have a good mix of talent and perspectives from all across the different areas. So we're going to start off with number one, which is going to be Golett. It has an overall PV Poke score of 59.3. What do you guys think? Where should we rank this? Like, what do you think of its usefulness, its design? Feel free to jump in.
I mean, it doesn't have any use for PvP, but I mean, come on, that design is dope. It's like if I'm not mistaken, it's from Unova, so from Gen 5, and it was supposed to be like ancient, like the ancient Unovans created it out of like some mystical energy kind of thing. So it's pretty dope.
Yeah,
like in terms of the design.
Yeah, and one thing that throws me off, it looks like a steel type, but it's actually a ground ghost, right? I believe, or is it just a
ghost? Yeah,
ground ghost.
Yeah, it's a ground ghost, and the stats on it, it only has 112 attack. Its highest stat being HP is 132, so it's just kind of lacking overall. Can only hit 1189 CP, so usually you think like 1200 CP at the cutoff. So if Golett could get a little bit higher, if it could get to like level 45 maybe in the future.
Ooh, some potential.
Who knows? But yeah, that seems to be something restricting it for now.
Yeah, Lee Wilson, what do you think of its design or usefulness?
Its design is, I love that line. It steel type, so it throws me off every single time, especially after not using it or being available in Pokemon Go. Said usefulness is just down the tank.
Yeah, so okay, I don't think it's quite, because it is a pretty nice design. I'm gonna put it at E tier. Any objections?
I'm good, but I do want to point something out. It beats Toxicroak.
Oh, beats.
That's all I'm saying. It beats Toxicroak,
okay.
guys.
Well, I think that deserves an E tier. Not quite the bottom of the barrel, but pretty low down.
That'd be a problem for me right there.
Yo, and it beats Bastion as well, guys.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, it's not
Promo pass.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. Next up, we have Misdreavus. Misdreavus has actually quite a big jump from Golett, 65.2. So what do you think of Misdreavus?
I guess ominous win, and that's all I need to say.
Okay, get the boost.
That was the boost.
No, it doesn't get Shadow Ball, right?
She gets Dark Pulse and Shadow Sneak. But I mean,
I think it's an interesting pick. Its stats all rank right around the low 120s. I know Best in the West actually used it a lot in practice, had fun with it, thought to himself, hey, this is kind of like a Drifblim, a little bit worse. Maybe I can catch somebody off guard. Maybe, I can make this work because of the moveset. It's got Hex, Ominous Wind. You've got Dark Pulse, which can nuke a lot of popular Pokemon in today's meta. He didn't have a lot of success with it, but he did say there were times where it performed really well. Overall, it is lacking. It can't do what a Drifblim can do in the same scenario, essentially, because it doesn't have the Shadow Ball. It just has Shadow Sneak as the other ghost option. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. Lee Wilson, what do you think?
Like they said, it gets the boost. I just think that Hex is just such a bad move, and it gets walled by so many Pokemon because of its limited moveset that it's really hard to run.
All right, and I think its design it's okay. It's a little too simple. The shiny looks nice, but I don't think it doesn't quite save it from being an F tier. Any objections to F tier?
Her pearls, but yeah, I'm fine with her going to F tier.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
All right, perfect. And let's move on to another Gen 5 Pokemon recently came out. I'm going to definitely brutalize this name. Cofagrigus?
Cofagrigus. Cofagrigus.
However it's pronounced. It's a PV Poke score of 67.8. What are your thoughts?
A little fact about Cofagrigus. When it came out in Gen 5, whenever you had to do like a PvP online, so like whenever you would battle people online, it was actually banned because the middle of its name is like a bad word. So you could not use Cofagrigus unless you nicknamed the Cofagrigus to something else. And after that, they kind of fixed it so that Cofagrigus can get a pass and be able to be used online without nicknaming it. Just a little thing about that.
That's interesting.
Was it useful online because of its defense stat, essentially?
In Gen 5, I don't think it was OU. I think it was like UU or NU, but like it had, like whenever people would use an OU, which is, by the way, OU is like the overuse, so it's like basically the top Pokemon that aren't banned. It had its niche. You just toxic stalled and then you just hex things down.
Okay,
didn't really see it much use.
Yeah, but unfortunately in Pokemon Go it doesn't get hex. It only gets with Astonish and Zen Headbutt. Yeah, Astonish.
Headbutt,
yeah. So two pretty terrible moves. Actually, it's pretty good charge moves in Shadow Ball and Dark Pulse. But what do you think of its design? Other characteristics of its usefulness?
Of its design, it's ancient Egyptian mummy, and it's really cool. And actually, it has a signature ability called Mummy. So if you ever make physical contact, your own ability changes to Mummy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I agree with the design of the Pokemon, and then actually thinking about how it was instituted in some of the games. Like, it was just really creative. You'd be in this one part, that's where you'd find it, usually somewhere spooky or underground. And as well, when it has access to a better fast move pool, I really think that this Pokemon might be one that could be useful because it has 150, 160 plus defense stat. So it's really just, add a fast move to it, add something like Foul Play, Shadow Sneak. With this amazing looking Pokemon, you could have something that ends up really good, in a couple months from now.
Yeah, no, even just giving it Hex would boost it up quite a bit, because then it moves into the like kind of upper tier, not quite the top tier with just Hex. Lee Wilson, what do you think? Any thoughts, inputs around?
So with Gen 5, before we knew the movesets, I was really looking into it because it has good stats for PvP and stuff like that. Everything happened with the moveset and kind of went down the drain. But I mean, it does have a decent shiny, and it got released right away, which is
absolutely. It makes it pretty rare to get shiny on release. So what do you guys want to rank it? I'll leave it up to you guys.
Say C.
Yeah, I was gonna also say C.
Yeah, I think its design is
good.
really nice. Like I think it's like one of the nicer, more creative looking ghosts. Okay.
Yeah,
Its design itself gives it B, but it like if it got
its potential is high.
Yeah.
Right.
If it got Hex, it would definitely be like B or A for sure.
Exactly. It would certainly move up quite a bit. All right, awesome.
In lineups.
Our first C tier ghost. Next up, we have Drifloon. Unfortunately, Drifloon is ranked higher than Cofagrigus at 68.3. What do you think about Drifloon?
Shows you the power of Hex in of itself, because it's almost the same stat distribution as Cofagrigus, and actually has less defense, of course, than Cofagrigus, but it has Hex and Shadow Ball, which is, if Cofagrigus had Hex and Shadow Ball, I'm pretty sure surpass Drifloon.
Yeah, I think if Cofagrigus had Hex, I think it would probably pass up. I mean, you're going to be closer to like Dusclops.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, what do you think of Drifloon itself? Obviously, I think there are superior ghosts with the same moveset, which I think is one thing that holds it back.
Yeah, as well as the CP limitation.
Yes, absolutely. Its stats are not appealing.
I'm a big shiny hunter. One of my goals is a shiny living dex, and Drifloon shiny is amazing. Drifblim shiny, like the shiny is, I think it's the top-notch shiny.
Yeah, no, the shiny looks really, really nice. And that's a really good point. I was actually going to say its design is like not all that inspiring, but once you take a look at its shiny, it certainly moves it up quite a bit. What do you think, Lee Wilson?
So I think this is the first one where the shiny actually moves it up a tier or two.
Yes.
Based off of its shiny.
Yeah.
It has a mediocre design.
Yeah, certainly.
I mean, somehow it's above such a powerful Pokemon like Cofagrigus. Like I said, just because it has a fast move, any fast move is better than the two that Cofagrigus got.
All right, perfect. What do you guys want to rank it?
I like it. I like it either a B or a C, and for me, I'd see the Pokemon itself. If we weren't including the looks and such, we're talking an E or a D Pokemon, and I think it gets boosted up to a C or a B.
Okay, let's leave it at a C so we have more runway, because we have a lot of ghosts left to cover.
I feel like it could be D, in my opinion.
D?
I mean,
I
know that.
All right, okay, Lee Wilson, you're gonna break the tie. What do you think?
Because there are a lot.
Sorry, what was that?
I said just put it at D.
D. Okay, all right.
Because there are a lot moving.
Sorry, Taco. Something has to go in D. Okay.
So put that higher.
The next one we have up is an evolved version of what we've already taken a look at, and we're talking about Golurk. What do you think about Golurk?
Awesome design. I actually learned something interesting about Golurk's design. So you see that bandage that's stuck up like on him? That's actually a design choice on purpose, and it's supposed to be quote unquote containing and like unknown and powerful power, like something along those lines.
Oh, interesting. Anyone else have any thoughts on its design, usefulness? Talk about its moves.
I think that the design, I agree, it looks really, really cool. It's another Pokemon that doesn't have access to a great fast move. Mudslap's decent, Astonish is horrible. And, when Astonish is 30% the suggested fast move on a Pokemon, that's usually a bad sign. It has access to Shadow Punch, Dynamic Punch, Earth Power. So really, it needs a fast move. It needs a little bit more stamina, because overall its stats are around like 110, 120, 130 for all three. But in the future, another Pokemon looks great, could have some more use in the future with a better fast move.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Lee Wilson, what do you think?
I agree completely with those other two. It does have a good fast move. It has a decent chunk of Earth Power, Dynamic Punch, and Shadow Punch. So if it ever does get a buff Mud Slap or Astonish somehow, it could be a threat moving forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, where do you want to rank it?
Design helps it get to like design. Like I guess that could be like in between like a C or a D. The only reason why I would say even remotely a D is because of its moveset in Pogo, but apart from that, like it's a C tier Pokemon.
Taco, Lee Wilson, what do you think?
I'd say somewhere between C or D. Shiny, not necessarily as cool as like a Drifloon shiny, but the actual look of the Pokemon itself is cooler.
Okay, Lee Wilson, we'll need you to.
I'll be the tiebreaker again, and I'll put this one as C.
C. All right,
Go with that.
awesome. I was hoping to be C because I think it's a really great looking Pokemon. All right, we're gonna move on to a final stage Pokemon, third stage Pokemon, Chandelure. Has a score of 70. Its recommended moveset is Fire Spin, Shadow Ball, Energy Ball. What do you think of Chandelure?
I used it in a tournament like a couple days ago, and I actually loved it. Like every single time I used it, it won. But at least here in Pogo, it's not good. It's too frail.
It's extremely squishy.
Yeah, but it has like
skill player Pokemon for sure.
Call me a high school player.
Well, if we were going to rank Pokemon on how hard they were to use it, I think that would be one that would be up there with Gengar and Haunter.
Yeah, Chandelure, like I remember when I was playing with it, like I was so scared in bringing it because I know when it's out, it's going to kill whatever's outside. But at the same time, like am I going to die first? Like I know I will for sure kill whatever it is if I can last long enough. Like it beats Steelix easily. So
yeah, those fire spins
it's good.
would just chunk away at Steelix. Okay, Lee Wilson, what do you think? What do you think of its design, usefulness?
So I'm that's my favorite type, and this one is definitely up there. It's probably top 3 design and lore and everything. Also has a pretty good shiny family. Like this family really builds it up. Has a decent moveset. Holding it back is a PvP. It's too glassy. Other than that, like it has a good moveset, has a good shiny. Very good Pokemon overall.
Yeah, really nice shiny. The orange, it goes from the purple we're seeing to like kind of a flame orange.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, where do you want to put it on the tier list?
I actually have like a little factoid about Chandelure. It actually was not supposed to exist at first. Like when they were first making Gen 5, it wasn't going to exist because Litwick actually had a pre-evolution, which was just like a little wisp. But the lead designer, Ken Sugimori, believed that little wisp wasn't going to be good. Like it didn't fit well enough with the family. So they took out that wisp and instead they had Litwick be the first one, then Lampent, and then they created Chandelure. So at first, like at the beginning stages of Gen 5, it didn't exist. But then as Gen 5 progressed in development, it came to be. And I mean, honestly, I agree with that decision. Like Chandelure is pretty dope.
Yeah, Chandelure has as you correctly stated, has a really great lure with its story. So what do you want to rank it? B? Is that first B, or is it too squishy, go down to C, or is it too poor of a Pokemon then even rank it at D?
A or B. Like it may not have use in PvP, which I know all of us are PvP, but it has so much more use like outside of PvP. Like raids, it's one of like the best ghost type raiders. It can take down things in gyms, and
Yeah.
it's good like outside of like Great League PvP.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it has some play in Masters, not a ton, but it has some.
and like you showed I'm pretty sure you put up a video taking down Mewtwo.
Yeah,
with
exactly. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
a few Pokemon that you could do that challenge with. So,
All right.
I mean, it's definitely up. I would rate it as B.
Let's put it at B. Our first B tier Pokemon.
Yeah,
It's an
I
amazing
like that.
design. Like, it's a really great Pokemon. All right.
But also,
Put it on any Halloween poster.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're gonna move on to Lampent, which is the pre-evolution of Chandelure. What do you think of Lampent? It's actually pretty interesting that it's actually ranked higher because it actually has like considerably worse moveset. Its recommended moveset is Ember, Flame Burst, Energy Ball.
I'd rather have Chandelure, to be honest with you. Like, Lampent is cool enough, but just Chandelure is just, it's cooler, and it's even more of a scary thing to use. If I'm going to use something that's frail, I might as well use something that's cool and frail.
Yeah, I ran some of the Sims when I saw this. I don't usually run Sims, and it's basically just ranked higher because its survivability is just a little bit more. It's like a rank, I think it's level 36 or 37
Mhm.
For a top rank Lampent. So it just gets a little bit more bulky, and that's really it. You know, I agree with you. Its moves are really bad. It's double fire. You look at it and you're just like, how is this not like 400?
Yeah.
No way.
And its design is, when you compare it to Chandelure, is like pretty not inspiring.
Yeah. I think Lampent suffers from cause like the middle evolution, like it's like a preteen kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's awkward.
Yeah, an awkward teen. Yeah, no, I totally get it.
I
All
like
right.
the entire family, but just standing by itself, it looks weird.
Yeah, I think it's actually the worst design of the three. So where do you want to rank it? Should I rank it at D?
I think E, honestly. Like,
E,
I don't see
okay.
E or an F.
Yeah,
E or an F.
Okay.
I like because it's still a decent looking shine. It's hard to throw it.
Okay, Lee Wilson, we'll give you the final word again.
E.
E?
E.
E, perfect. All right. Okay. All right, let's move on to our next one. Is Mismagius. What do we think about Mismagius? Hex, Shadow Ball, Dark Pulse.
I'd rather just go with Misdreavus and get my 10% chance of Ominous Wind.
Okay, so no boost hurts it, but getting Shadow Ball is pretty nice, and probably one of the main reasons why it's ranked much higher.
And I think it's also a Pokemon that we're starting now to talk about a Pokemon I'm guessing all of us have played against at some point in Great League. So it's, you know, with Hex and Shadow Ball, Dark Pulse, and the right player, Mismagius, is very, very good.
I mean, with the right player, any Pokemon is really good.
Yeah, I know. See that? See how I did that?
Nice setup. All right, what do you think of the design, Lee Wilson?
I like the design. It's weird, and I think this is the one where like its shiny doesn't help it at all. At least for me, it's kind of a weird color.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But the design, it has like a little bit of like a mixture of purples that I think accented with red, and I think it looks pretty good. The top hat is kind of weird.
Yeah,
Witch hat.
it's a little bit too
like-
big.
She's more of like a poster for like Halloween.
Okay, all right. Where do we want to rank it?
I would say D.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with a D or an E. Either of those are good with me. D.
Good with-
It looks like it fits in D right now pretty nicely.
Yeah,
D.
I think so too. It doesn't look terrible, but yeah, its shiny doesn't help it at all. It has like some interesting shadowing in its design and whatnot. But okay, the next one is also a final stage Pokemon, Dusknoir.
Yes, I love Dusknoir. I actually was, when we were starting off with Sinister, I actually had a Dusknoir to practice with. Oh my god, it gets Ominous Wind, and I freaking love that. And then Psychic,
The boost to Psychic certainly improved its viability.
oh for sure. Like, man, here if it like, I can't play if I don't have the 10% chance of winning or losing. If I don't have that luck for 10%, I'm not playing right. So I need all the Pokemon to have 10% things.
All right.
And also, like, Dusknoir is also, like, from, like, my childhood when I played Explorers, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Time, Darkness, and Sky. Like, I fell in love with Dusknoir. So easily for me, B or an A. Also, its moveset is not that bad.
It looks great. What do you think, Taco? Lee Wilson?
I think Dusknoir is a solid B, because of. I mean, I've been using it in PvP since January, before a lot of the boosts and Psychic, because of it being a little more tanky as a ghost, and just not actually realizing at the time how good Dusclops was. And I actually made Dusknoir first, used it, played my friend with the Dusclops, and then made a Dusclops. But the reality is if you use Dusknoir and you get that Ominous Wind, I don't know if you guys have ever seen what a double boosted Ominous Wind can do, but it's pretty fun. You should definitely Google videos
for
on
sure.
that.
Okay, Lee Wilson, what do you think?
I'm also a big fan, especially after the boosts. Psychic being like a heavy hitter, something that could take down Sinister. That usually with its other movesets, it probably would be a loss, especially against a Bubble Wrath. The only thing I really don't like about it is its shiny is awful compared to the red shiny of the Dusclops and the Duskull.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's those two shiny Pokemon look great. This one looks like mediocre. So where do we want to rank
not
it?
going to help the score.
Sounds like a B.
Say B.
It's a B off playability. I think we're not that the shiny's not boosting this one at all.
Yeah, its design is pretty good non-shiny, but what do you want to rank it? B or C?
I like B.
Good with B.
All right, let's go with B. Let's move on to the next Pokemon. This is gonna be 100% the most controversial Pokemon. There's been a lot of banter on Twitter about this one, and
Best in West.
Best in West, Valor-Ash, Toshi, a whole bunch of people, Cochino Mom, Casey, a bunch of people are gonna be really interested in how we're scoring this one. So I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna say it's a score 75.8, which is 4.8 points higher than Dusknoir. Its suggested moveset in overall is Feint Attack, Shadow Punch, Fire Punch, but it's certainly you could use Hex as well. So, what do you guys think?
I want to say something real quick. I'm looking at Dusclops, like perfect Dusclops and perfect Dusknoirs, like stats for Great League, and like basically Dusknoir has less HP and less defense, but just by like about 10 points or so. But Dusknoir has 14 more attack than Dusclops. So Dusclops is slightly bulkier, but what Dusknoir loses in bulk, it gains in basically taking things down a little bit faster. Dusclops, I mean, I love whenever my opponents use Dusclops against me because I'm like, all right, I just go Bastardon and I just sit here and farm you for days. And I know everyone's going to use this because everyone thinks it's good.
All right.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think that Dusclops is maybe being misused a lot. That's why it's getting a bad rap. Dusclops should be in the back of your lineup unless you're just going to use it as a safe switch for a risky lead, like a Mawile or a Bastardon lead. I think that its shiny is going to give it a huge boost here because the red
shiny looks great.
And if you get that Schlucky, it looks even better. I mean, because the shiny, the red shiny, the way it looks, the eye, it's just the design of it, I think, is better than the evolved form, the Dusknoir.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it a lot in Sinister. I used it in the past also. I would use the Dusknoir over this in Open, though, because of the access to the boost and just how that can change everything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Lee Wilson, what do you think?
So I loved using Dusclops in Sinister. Legacy Shadow Ball, hunter, so that's probably why. Had a good shiny for it. And I did use it in the back of my lineup most of the time. I knew somebody was going to lead with a fighter, and I felt really comfortable using it too. I've been playing it with it before Sinister started, so I was really comfortable going into it and knew a lot of its matchups and how to use it effectively.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's one cool thing about its stat distribution is like you don't have to get like one. You can trade like a best friend to get like a good PvP one. You're not like restricted by getting like these like low attack ones. I think it's like a 7, 8, or 9 attack that you want to get on your Dusclops in order to
15, 15. 8, 15, 15 is the perfect.
Yeah, which I find is like at least appealing for one of those higher tier Pokemon. All right, so where do we want to rank it? Shiny looks nice. Certainly has some use in some restricted cups.
I think
pretty
the
bulky.
shiny would be a C. The playability closer to like an E, D.
I'd
What
say
do you guys
C.
think?
I'm saying C. Like adding into the shiny, the shiny, the playability, plus the design wise, because it's kind of a cool design. It's a C.
Okay, Lee Wilson.
I'm with Matt on this one. I would say C based on the design, the shiny, and its mediocre playability.
All right, perfect. Next up, we have certainly a fan favorite in the general Pokemon lore, and perhaps one of the first Pokemon that you saw battle if you watched in the anime. We're going to go Gengar. So Gengar has a score of 82.5. It's ranked 101st on PvPoke. What do we think?
It requires Shadow Claw.
It requires Shadow Claw, yes.
It does.
But, that's probably not going to hold back a ranking of a Pokemon a little bit later up. It might.
I mean, cool design. It's regular shiny is okay, but it's like mega shiny. If you ever seen its mega shiny,
it's way
oh
better.
my god,
Way
that's
better.
such a one of the best shinies. Like easily top 5 shinies in all of Pokemon.
Yeah,
like one of the best
It's
shinies.
my favorite.
Mega. I do think like Gengar shiny is probably one of the worst because like you can hardly tell that it's shiny.
And then
It turns into one of the
most.
mega and turns into one of the best.
And you know what's cool is if you a lot of the VCG that has Mega Gengar in it, they're shiny. So it's something that I've seen throughout the past years of watching competitive Pokemon.
Mhm.
And let's all like kind of pray that we get that and hope that we get it and go. That would really be something.
All right.
But just a quick note. So I played against a local in SF in like March, like in the beginning, a year in the beginning of Pokemon Go PvP, and he actually brought a Shadow Claw Gengar to a free for all tournament, and I was running a line of like Metachan, another Psychic, and maybe like Tropius or Skarmory, and he literally swept my team using a Gengar. So, like, I have seen this Pokemon destroy. I think he ended up 4-1 in the tournament, running a Gengar every single round. I mean, it's crazy what it can do.
Yeah, certainly. It has like obviously the Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball is always it's probably one of the best combinations in the game in terms of double stab, fast energy generation and super hard hitting, and then combined with Gengar's attack stat makes it pretty
154,
which is high. Lee Wilson, what do you think?
Gengar is my favorite Pokemon, has been since forever. Like they've said, it's dangerous in PvP, but it needs either Lick or Shadow Claw. Outside of Great League PvP, it's like a fantastic Pokemon.
Yep, I agree.
If you know how to use it. Obviously, if you take it into a Confusion Mewtwo raid, you're going to get like 3 or 4 tapped.
Yeah.
Embarrassing, but other than that, I love it. Its shiny is not good, but like you guys have said, it's mega shiny is one of my favorite. And as you can see from my icon on here, my profile picture, it's Gengar with a Joker face. So
I think Gengar, when we talk about Gen 1 design, is one of the best in all of Gen 1. And there's a lot of like iconic Gen 1 Pokemon, but Gengar certainly stands out for a reason. So where do you want to rank Gengar?
I say
Do we
adding
include, like,
nostalgia and
nostalgia,
everything.
too?
You can add nostalgia, whatever you
Yeah, you
want.
can add
Gengar is a
nostalgia.
symbol of Gengar is like a symbol of Pokemon. Like if you like, you will see Gengar on shirts. People will be Gengar for Halloween. Like that's like, I just
A or
it's a
B?
symbol of Pokemon.
I'll say B. I don't have the
I-
nostalgia glasses for that, so I say B.
Taco, what do
I
you think?
can roll with B. I would definitely try to get it as high as I could.
All right. Lee Wilson, what do you think?
if it was up to me, obviously it would be in the S tier, maybe even above
yeah.
that. But
I mean, I literally would
I'm
go
okay
S also, but
You know, if it gets
let's go. Let's go in the middle then. Let's roll
let's
A.
be the A.
let's go to
Golett?
A.
All right.
Let's go to A. First A tier. All
Taco.
right. It looks great. It looks fantastic. Okay, and it's rated a lot higher than I thought it would be. Next up, we have Drifblim, the evolved form of Drifloon. It has a score of 83.4, recommending Hex, Shadow Ball, and Ominous Wind. Shiny looks good. What do you?
Real quick before I talk about Drifblim, I actually just found out right now that Gengar has more attack stat than Chandelure in Pogo. I mean, at least for Great League, which I'm kind of surprised because Chandelure has I think the number 1 or number 2 spot of highest special attack in all the game, not including legendaries.
Yeah,
It's why it's so good for
Yeah.
raids.
Yeah, I think just because Gengar is also really good for raids. It's like a huge glass cannon. That's why its attack set's probably higher.
I think Gengar might have a little bit more of like physical attack than Chandelure, which when calculating it in the formula might be why it's slightly more attack.
So what do we think of Drifblim?
One kind of like a one trick pony. Goes in there, it basically negates any fighting type, and that's about it. Kind of loses to anything that takes either neutral or deals neutral damage to Drifblim. Just kind of beats Drifblim out.
I would say like maybe don't underestimate its flying
I'm
typing
with
as
him
well.
on that one. I loved it in Sinister, but like he said, that meta was really good for it. You pretty much either land a Shadow Ball or you lose, or you get a boost. And
Yeah, no,
But-
absolutely. But I would say like its flying typing, flying plus ghost typing also makes it really good against a lot of the grass types. So you think about Venusaur, you think about Meganium, probably like the two premier besides Tropius, two premier grass types. It like completely walls them.
Yeah, if Tropius didn't just do a crazy amount of damage anyway with Razor Leaf,
And plus, it
would actually be
it has
decent.
icy
And
icy wind, right? So
and
um,
exactly what I was about to start to touch on was I like Drifblim. I like to use it in open. I use it as more of a safe switch because I know I'm going to be able to most likely whatever Pokemon my opponent's using that's better than mine. The odds are likely that I'm going to be able to beat them on their second charge move to Ominous Wind or Icy Wind. So you can like stay in, tap down. I'll shield the bad matchup, keep my generated energy that's not effective against that Pokemon, switch in Drifblim, start to generate energy, and then you have a huge tempo lead. And with Ominous Wind, Shadow Ball, if you actually do get the boost with Ominous Wind and then you Icy Wind, like an Altaria, you're starting to get, you're starting to get to where Drifblim really, really shines. So that's how I've used it in the past. Mine still has Ominous Wind, Icy Wind. I didn't use it in Sinister, didn't have TMs. But yeah, I'm going to keep using it also.
So I would say it has like a few more tricks and a few more play in open Great League compared to like it doesn't have like it has Shadow Ball, which is gonna always have like potential nuke power, right? Hex is not the greatest fast move in
But it generates energy.
Generates energy, right? And plus with that Icy Wind, it still has some play. So,
I actually used Drifblim in I used an all ghost team in a mono type tournament that one of my friends had way back when. It definitely saved me in a few matchups against like fighters. Like I just threw that in there, and they had a primate.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Actually,
so
Meganium actually beats out Drifblim by literally 1 HP.
Oh,
Like Meganium lives with 1 HP.
okay.
and-
Right, but so think about what I was talking about though, right? Because if you're switching in your Drifblim and you're getting that tempo lead and then the Meganium comes in, you actually win.
exactly.
Because you have the energies charged.
So
But I mean, the
that's
thing is,
where I'm saying Drifblim. So it's kind of how you.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah,
So, I mean-
Drifloon beats it in most of the matchups except for the one shield, which is the most important matchup. But you know, it still certainly has some. It beats
No.
it beats in the 0 and the 2, and then barely loses the 1. But that compare that to other ghosts that we've previously discussed. I think it has like some pretty interesting typing to at least help it stand up against it.
I mean, it's the
It's just a
first one
Watchog.
I've seen with an ice charge move, and I think that if any of you guys have ever used Icy Wind on a Sea King, you start to realize that Icy Wind, when you just use it every single time, it actually just works sometimes.
They fire out so fast too.
It's a pretty good move.
Okay, so where do we want to rank it? We're getting into the top
say
7.
C.
C? Taco?
Say C.
Yeah, I like it for B. The shinies, it's one of the more beautiful shinies. I can't put it up there with the nostalgia Gengar and the white Mega Gengar, but I can definitely put it next to that Dusknoir with its boost.
All right, what do you think, Lee Wilson?
I could also put it at either B or C, but I think it's more usability with Icy Wind, potential of a boost. I would put it at B.
All right, we're gonna put it at B tier. All right,
This is the Watchog, guys. So I don't know, man.
all right. Next up, we have Spiritomb.
Yeah.
What?
I think
Spiritomb is an awesome Pokemon. 108 spirits inside the odd keystone. Oh, that's a freaking awesome Pokemon.
well, its best
Talking about
stat is defense.
I was talking about Watchog.
Yes,
Oh, Watchog. Oh, yeah. Yeah,
So-
Watchog
So
sucks.
Spiritomb has a 84.1 ranking. Its suggested moveset is Sucker Punch, Shadow Ball, Ominous Wind. What do we think of Spiritomb? It's a dark ghost type, only weak to Fairy, which is at least something to consider.
If they were to change its moveset so it doesn't get walled out by a dark type, I think it can actually put in some work.
I agree. I think that one issue, having all ghost charge moves, or if it was all dark, I agree. It's just really hard to use in a high leverage situation because you're going to be playing an opponent who's going to be ready to adjust. So it's really hard when somebody adjusts and you have all the same charge move.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Drifblim where you can throw Icy Wind and Ominous Wind.
Yeah, absolutely. Lee Wilson, what do you think?
I think that Drifblim was a really big letdown, at least for me, in Nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was like, "Oh, this is going to be great because it's it's only got the one weakness." Saw that it doesn't do as great against like fighters and stuff because of the dark typing, and because of its moveset. I've always liked Spiritomb. It has a great lore, has a great design, also a great shiny.
Shiny is super.
And I just always liked having to try to find how to find it without using the internet in series games.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
nice.
that was awesome. Like You have to go through the underground and all of this stuff. It was actually really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
The teal and pink shiny is, I mean, I like pink. I like Jigglypuffs, and that's a pretty cool pink that goes with the turquoise. It looks so much better than the regular.
All right, perfect. So where do we want to rank it?
I say like a D. Nah, actually E. More like an E tier.
I'm good with E. I think the reason why it's getting there is really just because of the shiny. The moveset, I think, is a pretty big turnoff to most people here.
All right, Lee Wilson, any objections to E?
Objection from me.
All right, let's move on to the next Pokemon, which is
If
Alolan.
Spiritomb got Snarl.
Yeah, if it got Snarl,
I think I learned Snarl and Psychic. Oh my god, that would have been so good.
It would be insane. Okay, next up we have Alolan Marowak, 85.6, Fire Ghost type. Recommended moveset is, in this case, Hex, Shadow Ball, and Bone Club, but certainly has two very viable fast moves. So what do we think of Alolan Marowak?
So Alolan Marowak is by far one of my most used Pokemon in Pokemon Go PvP in free-for-all. In every single cup it's been viable for, I've essentially run it, and most of the time with Fire Blast. The shiny is also top notch. To me, this is my favorite ghost. It's my highest ranked ghost. I would use it over most of the others on the list in free for all, and I will. I love it. You know, when you get their shields down and you have a shield, and you're playing House Stark. What's up, House Stark? And you Fire Blast his Tropius. Just yeah.
You feel good. You feel good. It's a
that
stab Fire
is what you
Blast too. So
that is what you played for.
Lee Wilson, what do you think?
Design wise, amazing. Shiny, amazing. Pokemon Go PvP, I don't really have a good one. So I ended up running it in one of my Sinister Cups, but after that I dropped it. Drifblim as my second ghost with Dusclops.
I think it's a very interesting Pokemon, and it has some really great use in whatever cup it is in. It's usually not in like it hasn't been in a mandatory run type of position, but certainly it's been viable in quite a few cups that it's been playable. Matt, what do you think? Any other?
Honestly, using Alolan Marowak, I'm very limited on it in Pokemon Go, and the actual main games, it's a force to be reckoned with when it's under Trick Room. That thing, actually not even under Trick Room. Basically, if Alolan Marowak is out there and it uses a button, it clicks a move, you're dead. So I mean, but here in Pogo, I mean, with it is Sinister, and it's been kind of like an anchor in a way from some of my early on in the cup. I mean, apart from that, it's decent.
Okay, where do we want to rank it? I think its design is amazing. One of the best in the game. Where do you want to rank it? Taco?
I say
for me, I'm gonna go S tier. You guys should probably rank this one because it's too. I mean, I like it way too much, and the way that you just described that, and basically you click a button and they die. Or they faint. That's how I play Alolan Marowak. It's a finisher for me, and it does a really good job.
All right, Matt, what do you think?
I mean, I'll say A. Its design is really dope. It's in the actual game, it's really decent. In Pokemon Go, again, I don't really have much experience on that, at least on the Pogo side of things. But Marowak, I think, deserves to be an A.
Lee Wilson, what do you think?
I'm with Matt. The only thing holding it back for me is being able to play with a good Marowak, and the day that they said they were going to do and then didn't do. Still hoping for that.
Yeah, it still has some potential to get even better with that potential raid day whenever it comes. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We're getting into the final 4 Pokemon. This one's ranked 86.2. It's recommended moveset. This is Banette. Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball, and Return. and it certainly jumped up a bunch of points after it got returned. And we saw some really effective play from the Nut 93 in the London's Finest tournament, and he proved to be a really deadly combination with the next Pokemon. So what do we think of Banette?
I love it. Like I even posted on Twitter, I spent the moment it was released, I spent all night trying to find one. I did 4. I drove around my town and I was trying to find a Banette with return, and I was able to get it after the 3rd one, and I've loved it since. Every single tournament I've had with Sinister, I used Banette. I had Banette at least on my team, and it came in, you didn't shield it, it kills you. It comes in, it does whatever it needs to do with Shadow Claw, takes you down to half HP. It does just based off Shadow Claw, it gets Bastiodon, a perfect Bastiodon, to about 55, 56%. I don't have to spam any charge moves, I don't have to do anything. So, I mean, that just goes to show you. And it's able to last long enough, it lasts longer than Haunter.
Yeah, no,
slightly more bulk than Haunter, and it does just basically the same amount of damage. So I love, and Banette, Generation 3 is my childhood, and I remember when I ran into it in not Spirit Pillar, and I fell in love with the design, and its lore is pretty sad too, and I love it.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, it's Banette's lure has to do with the toy being lost and having the spirit in it, right?
Yeah.
That's a really cool lore.
Yeah.
It seeks the child that abandoned it.
No, that's
right. My playability, my experience with return, I haven't used a return Banette yet. I agree that the damage that Shadow Claw can do is mind-boggling, especially if you are able to have shield in the back for it. Design, really, really neat. I really like the lure. I love the zipper across the face, and just, kind of makes you think about a horror movie or something you saw when you were a kid that had stuffed animals in it. And next thing you know, it's a Pokemon in front of you, and not only that, it's got Shadow Claw and Shadow Ball.
Premier moveset for ghost types.
Lee Wilson, what do you think? The shiny hurts or helps it?
I think the shiny helps it. I really like the shiny. Light, but it has a really good shade.
Mm-hmm.
And I scrim a lot with the Data Spoofer. You've seen him, you've been with him. And he used Banette a lot in different things. He helped me prepare for Worlds as well. And he used Banette, and I was like, man, that's a real weakness to my team. And he literally just stomped me with it. He's actually the one that helped me get on this video.
Yeah, and it's certainly one of those Pokemon. Literally the night before regionals for me, someone's like, you should really consider running Banette. It has Thunder. It beats Azumarill and Skarmory and some shield scenarios. Obviously beats Medicham. It just does so much damage to every Pokemon. And I was actually the night before, I was so intimidated by Banette in case you're running across it. So certainly a really, really interesting Pokemon.
Yeah, my friend in regionals created a Banette because he saw the amount of damage that Shadow Claw does in Shadow Ball, and I was when we were practicing, I would use Lugia against him, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna use Banette. Banette takes care of Lugia, and it also takes care of a bunch of things. And he brought it out a couple of times. He brought it out Breaker, and he brought it out I think one time. He didn't shield. I had my Charizard, and he's like, I'm not gonna shield it. He knows that Banette is frail, but he's like, I'm not gonna shield it. I'm gonna conserve it. And I'm like, all right. I got rid of the Banette, which was a threat that I knew, and then I was able to just beat him afterwards.
So where do we want to rank Banette?
I say S tier.
Taco, Lee Wilson.
You got the design, and it's actually really, really good in Great League.
You know what I'm thinking about right now too is just how many of my friends that don't play PvP love Banette, and there's a lot of them. So I mean, I'm okay. I'm definitely okay with an S. I'd like it next to the Marowak, because for me, I feel like S tier would be Sableye, Haunter, and nothing else. but I agree with return now. You know, Banette. I
Lee
haven't
Wilson
used
will
return yet.
will have you break the tie.
I'm always tie breaking. I'm okay with S.
Okay, all right. Let's put it at the S tier.
It's my favorite ghost type. It's up there.
The first
Yo.
S tier. All right, let's go to the next one. It's very similar type in terms of usage, but certainly has a lot of history in the short history of PvP, and certainly one of those like Pokemon that was like iconic in terms of once it was used, people like it completely flipped their minds on using it, and it's Haunter. 87.6 score. Its recommended moveset is Shadow Claw, Shadow Punch, and Shadow Ball, with Shadow Ball being Legacy. So what do we think about Haunter?
Another interesting fact, like I found this Twitter account called Dr. Lava, and he researches about like a lot of lost information about Pokemon and a lot of like about beta and stuff like that. And so like I've been following him, and he comes out with like really interesting things. And Haunter used to actually have 4 fingers at the very beginning, like in red and blue, and in the very first art. Haunter used to have 4 fingers, and there's I think maybe a card with it with 4 fingers. But after Blue came out, which is internationally red and blue, it's just Blue is a different one. It's like an updated version. It has the 3 fingers. So starting from like Blue onwards, Haunter was portrayed with 3 fingers.
All right. What do we think of its design usefulness?
It's useful. I feel like I went on a tangent. It's really good. I like its design. It you don't shield it, and even Shadow Punch hurts. So it's decent. The poison typing actually helps it.
It helps
more
helps.
than it hinders.
Ooh, that's an interesting take. Do you think Lee Wilson Taco? You think the poison type helps or hurts it?
I think that's an interesting conversation because Shadow Ball does so much it doesn't really matter. But I've ran Haunter quite a bit. I have Shadow Ball. I'm just saying I ran one anyway with Shadow Punch and Sludge Bomb. I don't know if you guys have ever Sludge Bomb in a Azumarill with like most of its health.
Oh yeah,
that's also another like Pog moment. Just like, oh, that just happened. So I like the poison. I don't mind it. I think that the fact that it has poison and it gets mauled by confusion might be a reason why it has the move pool it does to make it more usable.
Mm-hmm.
Because they chose these move pools. So if it didn't have that hindrance, we might not be seeing what we are.
Yeah,
so,
but to be fair, I think they chose this move pool before they even knew that they're going to have PvP.
That's true. I mean, I'm guessing here.
But I guess they did put in the energy requirement. So it might be in reverse, right? Like these Pokemon have it. We want to make these Pokemon viable. I'm not sure they necessarily thought about Haunter, but it certainly could be a consideration.
Yeah, I think
PvP. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
PvP was actually designed in Pokemon Go, like when Gamefreak went to, well, not Gamefreak, the Pokemon Company went to Niantic. They wanted to at some point have PvP in battles. It's just the thing is Niantic, they weren't 100% sure on how to implement it and what to do with it. So that's why it took 2 years for them to implement it, because they were trying to figure out what to do. So like they really PvP was in the back of their heads, not like at the forefront. Like now you see all of these things. Like if you notice, that's why like the charge TMs, like the TM system is all messed up, and so is the Stardust economy, because they weren't thinking about PvP. Because if they did, you really think that the TMs would be how they are now, or the Stardust cost would be insane? Slowly, Niantic is starting to work on it. Like, as you can tell by the introduction of more movesets, but because I saw that you guys were thinking, but no, Niantic slowly went into PvP, but it was supposed to be there.
For sure. Lee Wilson, what do you think? How would you rank and assess Haunter?
I really like that in the Ghastly Hunter Gengar family. I really like that its shiny kind of stands out just because its tongue is blue. And its tongue is so prominent in its design, so I really like that. And one of the middle evolutions that could be, it has a great design. It doesn't look awkward. It has a good lore. Obviously, it's really good even without Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball just kind of takes it over the top. It's more scary.
Absolutely. So where do we want to rank this?
A tier with Gengar.
Put it A tier as well.
I think it's put Haunter A tier. For me, I think that I agree that the design and such doesn't really boost it. But for me, it's hard not to put the playability of Haunter in the S tier as basically the strongest, best, and most used ghost, especially by the top tier players. If you go look at.
Yeah, I do think that there's something to that a lot of the top tier players do really favor Haunter because it is difficult to figure out when to use it because it is so squishy.
Haunter Shadow Ball does 227 damage to Banette.
It does a lot. And
yeah, just wanted to say, like, I don't think I've seen that number ever in PvP.
Yeah,
in Pogo at least.
Yeah, and you think about like in regionals, one of its main counters was Sableye, which we're going to talk about next. If you Shadow Ball a Sableye, it's over. Like you've won that matchup against one of your counters, which I think is one of those like pog moments, as you guys like to call it, right? When it lands, and people are, I'm gonna say it's gonna be S tier, guys.
Completely
with
that.
That's fine. Yeah, I can agree with that.
And as a guy who's usually been on the Sableye side of that, man, does that suck when that Shadow Ball comes through. He's like, no.
So let's talk about arguably the best generalist ghost Pokemon, Sableye. Its PvP score is 88.6. Its recommended moveset is Shadow Claw, Foul Play, and Return. Obviously could have Power Gem as well. Return just gives it like that one. I think I ran the Sims did analysis that like gave it like 1.5% more win rate across the board. But certainly Power Gem has some interesting coverage as well. So what do we think about Sableye?
Completely forgot Sableye got Return now. I'm not gonna lie.
The shiny is the first thing I just want to add to that because you didn't mention it was the design of this Pokemon. The look of it, not shiny, like unbelievable, and then the actual shiny of it,
one of the best. Wow. It's amazing.
Wow,
sure.
I love that shiny.
I mean the playability, adding on the playability and the use of it, it's just S all the way. S for Sableye.
Sableye was actually one of the things that I powered up first for PvP, like before, like right when it was announced.
Yeah.
By a Metacham and a Mawile, which was, that was a terrible pick, but ended up helping me out now.
Yeah.
But Sableye, I mean, it's got a cool design. It's a gold shiny. Everybody loves a gold shiny. And it's so usable until Charm. But even with that, it still finds a great usability in PvP.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's S tier. Certainly one of the most used ghost types, even in freestyle, and has a really great moveset and good typing and decent stats, and I think it has seen a lot of really great play, even with the rise of Charm users. So I'm gonna put it at S tier. All right, the number one rated PvP Pokemon is Froslass. Ice Ghost typing. Its score is 89.8. Its recommended moveset is Powder Snow, Avalanche, and Shadow Ball. So where do we rank Froslass? Or what are in terms of usability, in terms of its design, in terms of its shiny?
So like Frost, so ice typing is one of the best offensive typings, like second only to fairy, and it just shows you that like just because Froslass gets powder snow and avalanche both are ice attacks, it helps it a lot in a lot of matchups. And even though it has the ice typing, which gives it a lot more frailty than it does, because of the ice typing, it has such an offensive presence. Like I remember when I was regionals and worlds, when I was testing out teams, Froslass was the bane of my existence. I could not beat the Froslass until Relicanth came in and said, "I don't care what you do."
So, Taco, Lee Wilson, what do you think?
Really like Froslass. I find it kind of hard to use. Never found a really good PvP IV that I was willing to power up, so I just used like a mediocre one. But it's definitely dangerous, and I've gone against a very dangerous Froslass. Pretty good shiny. I don't know. I don't think that or the design really help it too much aside from its usability in PvP.
Yeah, I think the shiny design doesn't help it a lot. I think the design of the Pokemon itself, it's going to get some points just for being unique.
Sure.
You know, the way that it floats around, the eyes, just the whole thing. You know, if you turn it to the side, you can actually see how it's kind of looking like it's floating like a ghost. It's got the tail and such. For me, I actually made my PvP Froslass essentially when I think we had to evolve him with like a Sinnoh Stone, right?
Yeah.
So the minute I got the Sinnoh Stone, I had it made and ready. I was testing it for Tempest. Might have been even before that, maybe like February or March. I can't remember when they came out. But for me, it's a very, very good Pokemon. I agree, extremely hard to use. I think that a lot of the other popular Pokemon do well against it. So you don't see it a lot in PvP, you know, with its main, ability being to take out something like Medicham, but now with Psychic, that actually, a lot of things are changing. I think Froslass is an overrated Pokemon, essentially because of its access to certain moves, and when you run it in Sims, it's going to do well. But if you put that on your team, and your opponent knows you have a Froslass, it's not as easy as putting it in a Sim.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Completely.
It's Matt pointed out that it's ice is one of the best offensive typings, but it's also the case that ice is the worst defensive typing, where it only resists ice, so it really doesn't help it from a defensive point of view. And when you're that squishy, it makes it really, really difficult to use and challenging, and perhaps overrated now, as the Taco pointed out. Where do we want to rank it?
No matter what, Froslass beats Medicham. Cycle Cut, Psychic, Medicham still loses to Froslass, like in other shield scenarios. Just wanted to let that.
I think for me, the shiny doesn't really help it. It's got a great moveset. You can give a newer player a Froslass and just say, hey, just lead this and use a shield, maybe two. And, that's going to work out pretty well most of the time for them. So I think because of that, I would rank it a B. I'd put it next to Drifblim, Dusknoir. I'd also say the same thing. Take a Drifblim, lead it, use a shield or two, see if you get a boost.
All right.
I say A. I would say A tier for
Okay.
Froslass.
Okay, Lee Wilson, you're gonna have to break the tie.
Down to me again. I would keep it with a B, just because, like I said, you can use it as a beginner and it can save you in a lot of times, but against like top tier players, it's really hard to use in the right scenarios, and you have to be really comfortable with it. It's one of those flex mons where it could be hard, but it could be really easy to use, kind of like how Matt used Relicanth. And just because people didn't know what it did and how it did it, it can definitely throw people off when you're using it.
Yeah, and certainly I think B is probably the appropriate, because I'm not sure I would. It performs like in PV poke score pretty similar to Alolan Marowak, but I don't think its design is as great. And then its actual usability with really advanced players is not necessarily as sophisticated as Alolan Marowak. So I think leaving in that B tier is probably the appropriate one. So anyways, that is our overall tier list. Any final thoughts from you guys now looking at this entire list? Are you happy with it? Pretty satisfied? Is this what you expected the tier list to look like?
You know, I'm kind of curious, guys. If we had to pick one of the S Pokemon and say it's, this is
S plus.
Exactly.
Ooh, okay.
Banette. I go for Banette. It does the same thing as Haunter. It does the same thing as Haunter, and actually is a little bit more bulkier than Haunter. And it hurts even more than Sableye. Say Banette. Like Banette is if you combine Haunter and Sableye. So you have the damage power of Sableye and kind of a little bit of the bulkiness. I mean the damage power of Haunter and a little bit of the bulkiness of Sableye.
You have the coverage too.
I mean, return, even if you resist it, like my Banette's return to a Steelix easily did about 15%. So, and that's a Steelix that is like resisting it, high defense, shielding it against my Banette, which isn't even like a PvP perfect Banette. It has a little bit more of an attack stat, and it's doing 15% to a Steelix.
Okay, Lee Wilson, what do you think? What are you taking that S plus?
S plus, I would probably go with Haunter. The lore, and it's related to Gengar, so it's just that much closer to me.
Yeah. And it's one of the very few second evolution Pokemon that's so iconic in
sure.
almost every part of Pokemon, which I find really interesting. Taco, what are you taking at S plus?
I feel like now I gotta say Sableye.
I think there's definitely a case for Sableye. I think it's the most used ghost, right? And
I agree though that Haunter would be the S plus though. I've seen it in too many cartoons, in too many battles, on too many T-shirts.
Okay,
Sableye plus she wins though.
Okay, here's one though. Where would you put Jellicent?
Oh my gosh.
It's overall, when I include the Gen 5 Pokemon, it's
now we're
overall
about the S plus.
89.5. It has Bubble, Shadow Ball, and Bubble Beam as its recommended moveset.
That's like an S plus Pokemon. Forget it.
That's unreal.
It's
S
over.
plus because it's the unknown. I can't wait for it. Niantic.
Lee Wilson, what do you think?
I can't believe it got past this event.
Yeah,
We were all
we need it. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it would be. It certainly has like some pros and cons with it, but a lot of pros in it. I think it would be the most used ghost in open Great League.
Honestly, sorry, go ahead, Matt.
An interesting fact about Jellicent. I'm sorry, I have a lot of these. Jellicent's original designer did not want it ghost type. They just wanted to keep it as pure water. But when they were balancing out Generation 5, they were looking at how little ghost types there were, and to balance out the whole entire game, they gave Jellicent the added ghost typing. And the original designer didn't like that. But because of that extra ghost typing, Jellicent became like one of the most bulkiest and terrifying Pokemon in Gen 5.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see it as often, but like when Gen 5 dropped in that metagame, like Jellicent was like easily like top 10 Pokemon.
I think
because it just bulked.
Yeah. It has an amazing moveset. Really interesting typing. It's almost as bulky as Dusclops in Great League. I think it would be an S plus for sure. Anyways, I'm gonna leave it there, guys. Thank you very much for joining me in this discussion. It was a lot longer than I thought, but I think it was a really cool discussion, and hopefully you guys can join me in future ones. So if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see everyone in the next video.